welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. Thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. As for what we're getting into, the Niners received more evidence that they had an excellent 2025 NFL draft. And as a little bit of a refresher, for those of you who might have forgotten or you are a big NFL draft guru and you just want to take a look back at what the Niners did in this draft, I really like what they did on the defensive side of the ball. They needed to replace a lot of veterans who had left, a lot of marquee playmakers who have played some great football for this organization. They needed some athleticism and some length on that side of the ball. They needed to replace a few starters, and they needed to get better against the run. And I think the Niners were able to check off all of those boxes. Specifically, when you look at Mykel Williams, Alfred Collins, Nick Martin, Upton Stout, and C.J. West, the first 5 picks for San Francisco as they went defense to start this draft. All of those players are really intriguing athletes. They all have a history of playing very well against the run, and I really do believe that those 5 players have an opportunity to start for the San Francisco 49ers defense as rookies. And I think this defense is going to take a big leap forward by leaps and bounds. Why? Because of the coaching of Robert Saleh. Bringing in a guy like Gus Bradley. This defensive staff is going to have this defensive unit so much more prepared than they were last year. And that's in the lead up to games, and that's during games. So with those defensive players taken, I think they really improve this Niners team. As for some of the offensive players, Jordan Watkins, Ole Miss wide receiver, he can run a 4.3. Tracks the ball very well. One of the more explosive players in college football last year at that receiver spot. Jordan James went in the 5th round. But keep in mind, deep running back class. He could have been a 3rd rounder in previous years. Marquise Siegel has some positional versatility. He can really run. He could play safety, nickel, in the slot, dime. So he could play a couple of positions on this Niners defense. Curtis Rourke maybe has backup quarterback potential, although I definitely would have gone offensive tackle here. Connor Colby started more than 50 games in his career at Iowa. He's a very good scheme fit. I think he could have a sneaky chance of starting at left guard for San Francisco this year. And then Junior Bergen, wide receiver out of Montana, Niners draft him as a specialist, as a return man. And at Montana, one of the most explosive FCS returners in the history of college football at that level. Now, as far as what we're doing on today's show, Field Yates, ESPN NFL draft analyst, he ranked his top 10 non-first-round picks who he thinks will be impact players. So these are prospects who he really likes outside of the first round, who teams took between rounds 2 through 7, who he thinks can be really good players. As for that list, here's the top 10, and look at who is coming in at number 5. It's Nick Martin, linebacker for San Francisco out of Oklahoma State. Some other really solid players on this list as well. Carson Schweichinger, linebacker out of UCLA, was taken by the Browns, first pick in that 2nd round. Nick Emanwori is an athletic freak. He went to the Seahawks. Will Johnson probably would have been a first-round pick if he was able to stay healthy in the pre-draft. I really like Omar Norman-Lott, JT Tuimoloau, Nick Scorton, Andrew Makuba. Jacob Parrish is a player I wish the Niners could have targeted because he goes to a Tampa Bay team where I think he's going to be an immediate impact player. As for Nick Martin, you look at the body type here, and when you watch him play, you will see a hyper-sized, cut-up-looking safety who plays linebacker. The Niners as an organization under John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, they have taken a lot of linebackers who sometimes are a little bit smaller, but they're physical, they run really well. A lot of the linebackers who this regime have drafted, they have defensive back backgrounds. I kind of like that because the athleticism translates. They're very aggressive. They can make plays on the football. They have good ball skills and good coverage skills. And Nick Martin has all of that ability and more. Here's what Field Yates had to say about Martin. The 49ers entered the draft with a need at one starting linebacker spot after Dre Greenlaw left in free agency, and Martin can fill it. He lacks ideal size at 6 feet, 221 pounds, but he makes up for it with electric speed and a fearless nature on every snap. He showed legitimate pass rush instincts in 2023 with 6 sacks. And while he was injured for most of 2024, his 140 tackles in 2023, the most by any Oklahoma State player since 1984. When you are having that many tackles, you're a gamer, you're a producer, and you have instincts and a feel for the game. And while Nick Martin is a little bit undersized for a linebacker, and a lot of people are going to continue to harp on that talking point, in today's NFL, where there's not as much hitting, not as much physicality, where offenses are trying to tax the defense from sideline to sideline and vertically by spreading things out, you need linebackers like this who can run, who can defend the run, defend the pass, and get after the quarterback. Nick Martin has that skill set. He plays the game with reckless abandon. Niner fans are going to really like watching him play, and those are the shades of an Azeez Al-Shire, a Dre Greenlaw, because he plays the game with that type of velocity with the way he moves and that type of intensity. And the speed is electric. He is not afraid to hit anybody. Of course, when you are 221 pounds at that linebacker spot and you're going to hit somebody when you're moving like a freight train, that could lead to injury issues because he's a little bit slighter. So that's a little bit of a concern. I will say, though, in 2023, his numbers, his play, what he put on tape, he was one of the best linebackers in the country. Pass rush, coverage, against the run, tackle production. In 2024, his season cut short due to a knee injury. That, I think, impacted his draft status, where he became a day 3 player. If he didn't get hurt, and if he went on to have another productive season in 2024 like he did in 2023, I think he would have heard his name called a little bit earlier. The relative athletic score, the only thing that is really in the red here for very poor, according to MathBomb, is the height and the weight. Other than that, great and elite everywhere. 8.55 on the relative athletic score, good vertical, good broad, 40-yard dash just north of 4.5. That's the ability to run right there, and a really good shuttle, which I think is an important drill for a linebacker. And let's look back at what he did in 2023. I mean, you do not see linebackers or college football players produce gaudy numbers to this extent at the college level often. Because when you're playing at a major program like this, just remember, coaching staffs are trying to rotate players in to keep them happy, to keep them from going into the portal. Sometimes you're going up against lesser competition. You're blowing teams out. And you're not playing as many games. 140 tackles in 14 games, 16 TFLs, 6 sacks as well from that linebacker spot. So this is a player at that will linebacker position that Robert Saleh can use dropping back in coverage against the run. And, of course, as a blitzer from time to time. 2 picks and 2 pass breakups as well. His 83 solo tackles in 2023. Number 2 among players at the FBS level. And whether it's the strong side linebacker spot, the weak side linebacker spot, we'll see what Robert Saleh prefers here for where he wants to try Nick Martin and D Winters at those respective positions. Like D could play strong side, Nick Martin could play weak side, or it could be as such right here. Those are some of the intricacies that obviously we'll find out once we get deeper to training camp in the preseason at the start of the regular season. But there's a real chance for Nick Martin as well to start alongside Fred Warner. And I just like the athleticism and the speed that these 3 linebackers bring to this Niners defense. And I trust Robert Saleh to put them in a position to succeed. So will Nick Martin start as a rookie? It's a big question. Type S for start, B for backup. And before we dip on out of here, if you want a Niners jersey prior to this year, we continue to tell you about this great deal. Thanks to our friends at Fanatics. Get your Niners jerseys today at chatsports.com/49jersey. All types of players, sizes, looks available. And there's been some chatter about the Niners releasing new jerseys for 2025 that they could wear because of the new rule that teams can have multiple helmets. If that does come to fruition, if that news and that rumor is true, Fanatics will have those jerseys as well. Chatsports.com/49jersey. Hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for tuning into the show and supporting everything that we do, and we'll continue to provide the faithful with some great content.